Picture this, a seemingly ordinary man, standing in his modest suburban kitchen, quietly orchestrating one of the most audacious frauds in the history of fine wine. With nothing more than a few bottles, some basic tools, and a sharp eye for detail, he managed to fool the world's most discerning wine collectors and connoisseurs, swindling them out of over $30 million. The setting was unremarkable, but the deception was anything but. This is the astonishing true story of Rudy Kurniawan, a name that would become infamous in the rarefied world of wine. In the privacy of his kitchen, Rudy became a master forger, blending cheap wines together in his sink and meticulously refilling and relabeling bottles. He didn't just copy the look, he studied the taste, the history, and the legends behind each vintage. These weren't just fakes, they were carefully crafted illusions, designed to pass as rare treasures at the world's most prestigious auctions. The bottles he produced weren't merely convincing, they were celebrated. They fetched record-breaking prices, drawing admiration from seasoned collectors and experts who prided themselves on their refined palates and deep knowledge. Even the most experienced professionals were taken in by Rudy's creations, a testament to his skill and audacity. But Rudy's genius went beyond simply forging labels. He invented entire ghost vintages, bottles from years that never existed, attributed to the most revered and sought-after names in wine. His forgeries were so sophisticated that they slipped past the scrutiny of the world's top experts, shaking the very foundations of the wine industry. His story reveals a surprising vulnerability at the highest levels of wealth and expertise. In a world where status and exclusivity reign supreme, the desire to possess the unattainable can cloud even the sharpest judgment, making even the elite susceptible to deception. More than just a tale of counterfeit goods, this is a story about the psychology of collecting, the power of reputation, and the seductive allure of a well-told story. It's a reminder that sometimes what we most want to believe can blind us to the truth, especially when the lie is bottled so beautifully. In the early 2000s, Rudy Kurniawan exploded onto the Los Angeles wine scene, a young, wealthy Indonesian with a legendary palate and an endless supply of rare bottles. He was a mystery to many, arriving seemingly out of nowhere, yet instantly captivating the city's most elite wine circles. His charm was magnetic, and his knowledge of wine, down to the most obscure vintages, was nothing short of astonishing. He hosted extravagant dinners, sharing unicorn wines, bottles so rare they were thought to be almost mythical. Guests would marvel at the treasures he poured, and soon Rudy earned the nickname Dr. Conti, a nod to the legendary Domaine de la Romane Conti he so often served. His generosity and encyclopedic knowledge built him a powerful network among Hollywood producers, businessmen, and seasoned collectors. Invitations to his gatherings became coveted, and his approval could make or break reputations in the insular world of fine wine. By freely pouring supposed treasures, he conditioned the market, subtly shaping tastes and expectations. Rudy's influence grew as he established himself as a tastemaker, someone whose opinions could sway even the most established collectors. Behind the charm, Kurniawan was always watching, studying his audience, learning their preferences, and quietly noting who could be fooled and who could not. He was a student of human nature as much as he was of wine. His rise was no accident, it was a calculated infiltration. Rudy used his charisma and access to gather the intelligence he'd need to exploit the industry's greatest weaknesses, blending in seamlessly while plotting his next move. Dr. Conti wasn't just a collector, he was a predator in connoisseurs' clothing, quietly preparing to change the world of wine forever. Kurniawan's magic didn't come from Burgundy's vineyards, but from his kitchen in Arcadia, California. He sourced empty bottles from prestigious wines, then blended cheap wines to mimic legendary vintages, tweaking recipes until they fooled even experts. His attention to detail was obsessive, aging labels with coffee stains, replicating fonts, faking corks and wax seals. Every element, from the bottle's weight to the label's feel, had to tell the same story. His kitchen became a clandestine factory filled with bins of corks, stacks of labels, and bottles soaking in the sink. Kurniawan's operation was hidden in plain sight, a suburban home concealing a workshop capable of fooling the world. The secret to his success: meticulous, painstaking work that created a perfect illusion. With his fakes perfected to an art form, Kurniawan found the perfect marketplace for his creations in the booming, high-stakes world of wine auctions. These events were not just about buying and selling bottles. They were glamorous gatherings where the world's wealthiest collectors, connoisseurs, and investors came together, eager to outbid each other for the rarest vintages. Kurniawan consigned massive lots of supposedly rare and valuable wines to major auction houses, most notably Aker Moral and Condé. This prestigious house hosted record-breaking sales, with Kurniawan's bottles often as the star attractions. His offerings dazzled the market, and his name quickly became synonymous with luxury and exclusivity. The sheer volume, variety, and apparent quality of his wines overwhelmed even the most seasoned experts. Kurniawan's reputation as Dr. Conti, a nod to the legendary Domaine de la Romane Conti, made his bottles seem almost mythical, and few dared to question their authenticity. By skillfully mixing a handful of expertly crafted fakes among many genuine bottles, he created an illusion of legitimacy that fooled even the most discerning eyes. The fakes were nearly indistinguishable from the real thing, making it almost impossible to spot the deception. Auction houses, eager for profit and prestige, authenticated his wines with little scrutiny. Buyers, swept up in the excitement and trusting the process, paid astronomical sums for bottles that would later become infamous. The cycle of credibility and trust only grew stronger with each successful sale. The wine industry's deep reliance on trust, reputation, and captivating stories, rather than scientific verification, made it easy for Kurniawan to invent elaborate backstories for his bottles. He spun tales of secret cellars, private collections, and lost treasures, making his fakes irresistible to collectors. Kurniawan didn't just sell counterfeit wine, he sold an entire persona, a mystique that made his fraud not only possible, but wildly successful among the world's elite. Kurniawan's empire began to unravel in 2008, thanks to Laurent Ponceau, a Burgundy winemaker. Ponceau spotted bottles of his Clos Saint-Denis at auction from years his family never produced, an impossible timeline. He flew to New York, confronted the auction house, and had the lots pulled, exposing undeniable proof of forgery. The consignor? Rudy Kurniawan. Ponceau's discovery was a turning point. Objective evidence, not just taste, proved the fraud. Other impossible bottles surfaced, and whispers about Kurniawan grew louder. The once unquestionable Dr. Conti was now under intense scrutiny. The hunt for the truth had begun. The suspicions triggered by Ponceau drew the FBI's attention, and in 2012, agents raided Kurniawan's Arcadia home. Inside, they found a full-scale counterfeiting operation, thousands of empty bottles, piles of fake labels, branded corks, and detailed blending notes. Kurniawan's meticulous records revealed the step-by-step methodology of his fraud. The evidence was overwhelming. His kitchen was a factory of deception. The arrest sent shockwaves through the wine world. The legend of Dr. Conti was shattered. The images of his home, filled with the tools of his trade, became a stark warning to the industry. The cellar of Dr. Conti was revealed as a workshop of lies. In 2013, Rudy Kurniawan stood trial in New York, the first person in the U.S. criminally prosecuted for wine fraud. Prosecutors presented fake labels, blending recipes, and impossible bottles, painting a clear picture of systematic deception. The defense's arguments crumbled under the weight of evidence and expert testimony. Kurniawan was found guilty of mail and wire fraud, sentenced to 10 years in prison, and ordered to pay nearly $30 million in restitution. After serving 7 years, he was deported to Indonesia, closing the final chapter of his American saga. His story was immortalized in the documentary, ensuring the legend of the world's greatest wine forger would not be forgotten. The Kurniawan scandal was a wake-up call for the fine wine industry, exposing vulnerabilities and shattering trust. Auction houses overhauled authentication, hiring experts and using scientific tools to vet bottles. Authentication services became essential, examining everything from glue to cork markings. wineries introduced high-tech anti-counterfeiting measures, holograms, serial numbers, even microchips. The market matured, shifting from handshakes and stories to transparency and verification. Collectors became more skeptical, demanding detailed provenance and third-party checks. The industry emerged stronger, but the ghost of Rudy Kurniawan still haunts elite sellers. His legacy, a constant reminder that vigilance is the only defense against the next great deception. Despite Kurniawan's conviction and industry reforms, wine fraud persists. Some estimate up to 20% of fine wine on the market is fake. Criminals adapt, using ever more sophisticated methods to defeat new security features. Recent busts in Europe and Italy show that organized networks still target top-tier wines, even replicating anti-counterfeiting holograms. Ironically, scandals can make authentic bottles even more valuable as rarity and mystique grow. The world of high-stakes deception is endlessly fascinating, revealing truths about psychology, ambition, and the stories we choose to believe. Wine fraud is not just about crime. It's about desire, trust, and the vulnerabilities of wealth. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe and join us as we uncork more of the world's most intriguing scandals.